Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
All right, Elliotte Friedman is joining us now from Hockey Night in Canada, we hope, and Rogers Sportsnet. Elliotte, we got you?
Yes, you do.
I can't
no outages today.
No, I can't imagine a guy who his living depends on his phone, what Monday must have been like for you.
I got to tell you, Don, it was the most peaceful day of my existence.
We didn't have to deal with us.
I didn't have Canuck Twitter telling me how stupid I was.
Ooh. What was speaking of Canucks Twitter, what was your opinion of what happened yesterday in this city after two pretty significant wins over the Leafs? And you had the Fire Benning airplane banner overhead yesterday.
You know, I look at that, Don, as an occupational hazard. If you're going to be the general manager of a team, that stuff's going to happen sometimes, and you just have to deal with it. That's kind of the way I look at it.
What do you think's in his future, in Jim Benning's future? We talk a lot about Travis Green, but what about Jim Benning, who has a couple of years left on his contract?
Well, you know, I really felt that, I really felt, and I said on the show last week and on 650 that I really feel that he's coming back, and I have felt he's coming back for quite some time. I don't think there's an incredible appetite in the organization to make a change. Now, I did wonder with everything that happened last week if that could potentially change. But, you know, if the team keeps going the way it's going, and look, it's only been 2 games. Who knows where we go from here? I think at the end of the day, honestly, Don, I think results will dictate what happens. But I felt, like I said, prior to the outbreak and then, you know, recognizing, you know, kind of everything that went on during it, I felt that he was coming back, and, you know, that generally is my opinion.
I know we talk a lot about Travis Green with you, Elliotte, but what's the opinion of Travis Green outside of Vancouver in hockey circles?
You know, Don, I think people think he's a good coach. You know, it's not like the Vancouver Canucks are the only team that have ever tried to hire him. Mm-hmm. You know, when in Anaheim, he came pretty close to getting a job there. I know that his reputation is pretty good. You know, I like I said, I've had some coaches reach out to me, and I realize they have a bias here, but I don't think this opinion is like an opinion that isn't shared. I think after everything that happened in the past couple of weeks, I think there are people who feel that the Canucks should do the right thing and extend their coaching staff. I think one of the issues that is going on in the NHL right now is that I think that you know, with the finances of the league tightening because fans aren't in a lot of the buildings, I think you're going to see teams try to cut back on the costs for coaches and executives. I do think that I don't know if Cold War is the right term, but I'm going to use it, Don, because it's the simplest term. I think there's some teams who say that this is our chance to draw some of those numbers back. And I think that, you know, that's kind of what's going on right now between Travis Green and the Canucks. And there are a few really good coaches out there who don't have extensions yet for next year. Green is one. Rick Tocchet, who I think has done a really good job this year in Arizona, is another. And we're all kind of watching Brindamore in Carolina. He's a guy who I think wants to stay there. I think they want him to stay there. But I think there's I think the grind is what's a number that both sides think is fair. So there's a lot going on around the league this year. It's not just Vancouver in terms of, I think teams are trying to draw a hard line on salaries, but you guys are kind of right in the middle of it.
Elliotte, can you give us any sort of an update on the Pettersson injury? Look, when he first got it, we're 7-8 weeks, almost 8 weeks into this. When he first got it, even the Canucks said 1 or 2 games. Even other sources said 1 or 2 games. What is going on here? Like the general feeling, it is the wrist, but is there any chance he comes back?
The last I checked, which was last week, Rick, After Benning, Benning said that there had been a setback, and I looked into that and asked, does that mean that he won't play this year? And from what I'm told, the last I checked, which was again last weekend, I was told at that time nobody wants to go that far. That the hope is he will play again. The desire is that he will play again, but nobody is willing to definitively say that he's going to be able to. I think one of the things that, someone explained to me is the wrist especially is a very tricky thing because, so much is kind of connected around it. And I just think the injury and again, I'm hearing this all secondhand, I just heard that the injury is kind of delicate enough that it's a problem if it doesn't come back healthy. Now, the thing that I always am very delicate about myself, Rick, is that early in my career at Hockey Night, I went on the air once, and I kind of questioned how injured somebody was. And one of that player's teammates called me, and boy, did they give me, crap. They were like, how dare you go out there and question the legitimacy of someone's injury? Like he said, you don't know how that person is or isn't, and you don't have the right to do that. So I'm always careful about stuff like that. I've just been told that don't write him off, and the hope is he's going to play.
Well, and the hope is he's going to be playing for many, many, many more years as a Vancouver Canuck. Hughes and Pettersson contracts. Clearly, the two sides are talking. Any update? J.P. Barry came on this show and said, "Look, we can't do a long-term deal. Let's be honest, Elliotte. They got cap issues. What would a 3-year deal look for these two guys look like?"
Well, one of the things that was going on when they were negotiating Demko and they were negotiating Pearson. One of the things that kind of got out there was that the Canucks had a block set aside for those two guys. And I heard $15 million for the two. I heard $18 million for the three, which included Demko in that, who signed for his number. So it's probably somewhere in that area. Now, to me, the question is, who do you think the comparables are? Are you thinking, Pettersson, you look at the guys who are making 3 times 7. Does Pettersson say, I want that? And by the way, I'd like a little bit more just because.
Yeah.
And, Hughes is a trickier one because of his situation as a 10-2C. But that's a status. Yeah. He can't get an offer sheet or anything like that. But, the way I kind of look at it is, Rick, you're not going to, I don't know if I can say piss off on this show, but I'll just go for it.
Go ahead.
I don't think you're going to go out of your way to piss off two of your franchise cornerstones. I think you're going to grind them, and I think you're going to negotiate hard with them because that's what you do. But I think at the end of the day, there's the hope that this is a real long-term relationship. And I think with Hughes specifically, you remember all the lobbying that kind of went on to get him to come to Vancouver. Hey, not that I think they were ever going to lose him, but I think they went out of their way to make sure that he knew how highly they thought about him. Yeah. The guy has done, I don't care about his plus minus. He plays hard. He really cares. They're not going to go out of their way to make this a disaster. They're going to work at finding these guys deals that make sense. And I really think they will.
I agree.
Elliotte, the Leafs just in town. Can they win us? And we saw this here.
Everything,
Rogers
by
Arena.
The way, Don, is better when the Leafs lose to the Canucks. My buddies who live in Vancouver were telling me that no matter what happens, life is always better when the Canucks beat the Leafs.
It is,
and yet they still flew the banner. But can the Leafs win a Stanley Cup with their current goaltending situation?
No, nobody could. One of those guys is going to have to grab the net. One of them is absolutely going to have to grab the net. And, the thing about Campbell is he as good as he was when he won 10 in a row? Probably not. But I think he's better than he showed in his more recent games. I think there's, Riddick, he's just erratic. He can have games like that. He has games where he absolutely stands on his head and he looks like the second coming, and he has other games like he did the other night where like Shorty and Garrett are laughing as that puck goes in, right? Like he's he's just very wild on that spectrum. The thing about Anderson is, Don, nobody really seems to know what's going on here. It's the Leafs are actually pretty progressive when it comes to their injury reporting. They've been very, very silent about Anderson. Now, I think it's believed he has a knee injury. I think he's getting closer, but I think he's practiced with them 4 times, and he hasn't played since March the 19th. Mm-hmm. Like, does that sound like the recipe for a goaltender who's going to lead you in the playoffs?
No, not a chance.
Plus also, it's not going to be easy for them to activate him. The Leafs and the Canadians have big roster cap problems in terms of this kind of thing. The Leafs would have to lose someone for a significant time due to injury, and the Canadians, for example, are already at 3 of their 4 post-deadline recalls, so it's going to be tricky for them to activate Caulfield. Like, Toronto's going to be I'm not sure Toronto's going to be able to activate Anderson until the playoffs anyway.
People in Vancouver just feel awful about that, Elliotte. Before we let you go,
yes, I know. I can tell you, I can already hear them. Like, just the crying towels are out. I can really hear it.
We're out of time here, Elliotte. But very quickly, when you talk about mysterious injuries, Jonathan Toews shut down for the season. Anything regarding what this mystery ailment is?
I think that, no. I mean, Don, we've heard lots of rumors. Yep. Like the thing is, like, it's like Leonard the other day to me. It's that this affects everybody differently. And I think you just have to respect that, some people can handle, like some people handle things differently now in the world the way it is. Well, if you look at a lot of these players, this season has been a real mental grind for them because you're not really allowed to do anything, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we just have to respect the fact that, some people want their privacy and need time. And I'm not going to argue with that any way, shape, or form.
Your phone has never sounded better. I don't know what they did on Monday, but it worked. Outstanding, Elliotte. Thank you.
All right, guys. Just want to say hello to Canucks Twitter. Missed you guys on Monday. Glad to have you back.
Don't tweak these people because Elliotte, you know what's going to happen next week? There'll be an airplane banner with your name on it.
Yep.
I got to tell you, in some ways, I'm surprised it hasn't already happened. So I consider myself very lucky that it hasn't already been me.
They love you. Vancouver loves you, Elliotte. Do not forget that.
I love them, Rick. I love you guys.
I know you do.
Thanks, Elliotte. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Bye.